Welcome back to Juve Talk TV. I am your host, Ben Batella, and on today's episode, we're going to go through the entire Juventus squad list and decide who to keep and who to sell. So stay tuned, and let's get right into it. Starting off with our starting keeper, Wojtek Szczesny. Keep or sell? I'm going to say keep. Put him in that column. Really, we have nobody else on the market for us. Donnarumma was a potential option this summer, but he obviously went to PSG, and I believe that it wasn't really a move that would need it to happen. I would welcome it with open arms because Donnarumma currently is the best keeper in the world, but I'm actually happy with Szczesny. He had a pretty decent season. He got 7 clean sheets, and he's been pretty solid for us through the stretch. He's played well in a lot of games, and overall, he's a very solid keeper, and a keeper that I think is actually very underrated. So Szczesny, we're going to keep him. Next up is our third goalkeeper, who right now is our second goalkeeper, Carlo Pinsoglio, and it is an easy keep. Put him in the column. In terms of ability, he's just a very average keeper. He's been a third string for practically his entire career. But that's not why I'm keeping him. I'm keeping him because Carlo Pinsoglio is one of, if not the best locker room guys in all of football. He knows everybody. He hangs out with everybody at training, outside of training. He makes everybody laugh. He brightens everybody's spirits. And he is just a really awesome guy to have around your locker room. Always good vibes. So for me, no brainer, we're keeping Carlo Pinsoglio. Next up, we have Matthijs de Ligt, and this really isn't a discussion. Put him in the keep column right now, or I'm going to get mad, because this isn't a discussion. He's going to be one of the best defenders of the next 10 years, if not the best. Last season, he already proved what kind of player he can be. At Ajax, he proved at 19 what kind of captain he can be. And I have no doubt in my mind that sometime down the line, he will be the captain of our beloved Bianconeri. So for sure, keeping him. He is an amazing player. Put him in the column. On to the next. Next up, we have Mary Demrial, and unfortunately, my friend, you're going to have to go. After an abysmal campaign with Turkey in the Euros, which everybody thought they were a dark horse, turned out to be an absolute flop. And over the last season, not getting a lot of playing time with Pirlo, and just when he did, not playing well at all. I'm going to have to say you got to go. We can get that 30 to 40 million, which is his value right now, and put it towards somebody else, like a Locatelli, like a Gosens. And I just think that, yes, he had a great season under Sarri, then he got injured, unfortunately, and he came back, and he's never really been that same Demrial that we saw in the 1920 season. And at the current moment, Allegri prefers de Ligt, Chiellini, and Bonucci over him, which makes him the 4th string defender, and I know he had a bad season, but he just isn't a 4th string. So go somewhere else. Let's get that 30 to 40 million, and let's save that money and buy somebody big this summer, hopefully. So Demrial, see you later, man. Sorry about that. Next up, we have the brick wall tandem, the dynamic duo, Leonardo Bonucci and Giorgio Chiellini. And for me, it's not even a question. Put them in the keep column. Don't put him in there. It's undisputable. After the Euros, after their insane campaign at the Euros, they proved to everybody that they are still amongst the top center backs in the entire world of football. And for me, keeping them there, they give you that passion, they give you the art of defending, and they give you that leadership that right now Juventus kind of needs. We have senior guys in our team, but not like these guys. These guys are true Italian leaders. They've been at the club for a long time. So I'm going to say, without a doubt, keeping both of them together for at least one more season. Next up, we have Danilo, and for me, this one's easy. Put him in the keep column. He's coming off one of his best years as a player personally, and he really proved to us that he is one of our most versatile players that we have in our squad. He played left back, right back, center back. He was even in the midfield at times, and everywhere he went, he seemed to excel. He was really our second best fullback this year, and that is only because Juan Cuadrado had a fantastic season. But for me, this is easy. We're keeping him. Hopefully he can play even better under Allegri, and I'm excited for what's to come for this guy. Next up, we have Gianluca Frabotta, and for me, I'll keep him. And this is only because maybe he'll become a really good fullback one day. And he did get a lot of playing time under Andrea Pirlo, and he played okay. He scored a goal, but for me, hopefully he'll come into fruition and become a good fullback for us. But Right now, Atalanta and Juventus are in talks over a potential transfer for him, and he would go there to become a backup to Gosens, but I don't know. And maybe if the deal occurs where we can get some cash, or we can spend cash and send him and get Robin Gosens back, then I would for sure do that. But for the time being, why not just keep him? He's a good depth player. He's a good backup. So yeah, keep him. Next up, we have Alex Sandro, and this is a tough one, but I'm going to say sell. And the reason being is, yes, over the past few years, he has been one of the most underrated fullbacks in all of football. He has been spectacular for Juve down the stretch, from Champions League finals to just playing well domestically. He's been a really, really good, solid fullback. And the only reason he hasn't received that same spotlight as other guys is because Marcelo was coming up at the same time as him, and Marcelo was that flashy guy who was a better fullback. Let's not get silly here, but yeah, I'm going to say sell Sandro. I think we can still get around 20 to 30 million for him. Maybe the market, so right now, maybe around 20. But I think it's all about accumulation of those funds. If we get enough transfer money, if we sell off a couple players, get rid of some contracts, then we can buy new players, younger players, more dynamic players, and have a real shot in the UEFA Champions League and a real shot in Serie A. So for me, love Alex Sandro, but it's time to go. Next up is Juan Cuadrado, and easy again. We're keeping him. He is coming off of a season where he registered 16 assists and 2 goals as a fullback. The entire season, except for a few games where he played right wing, he was in the fullback position, whipping in crosses and registering assists. So this is fairly easy for me. He's one of the most versatile players on our team with Danilo. He can play in the right wing, he can play the right fullback, even the left if you want to put him there, and also in a 4-4-2 system, he can play that right midfield position. And under Allegri, and I'm assuming he's going to go 4-2-3-1, Cuadrado is going to fit so nicely in that right wing, just behind Ronaldo and beside Dybala. So for me, 100%, we're keeping Cuadrado. Next up, we have Federico Chiesa, and if you don't put him in the keep column, I'm going to get angry. He's coming off of a Euros campaign where he scored a round of 16 extra time goal against Austria, a late goal in the semifinal against Spain, and in the final, he ran riot around that English back four. So for me, this is easy. Look at his domestic campaign with Juventus. 15 goals, 11 assists. He performed in the Champions League against Porto where he scored. He scored against Atalanta, Milan, and he played well against Inter. This is coming from a guy who came from loan from Fiorentina, who hasn't really played any really big games in his life, to Juventus in the first season, and he's scoring everywhere all the time in any sort of scenario. He'll be the face of our team for the next 10 years, and he will become a world-class player and a Juventus legend. This one's easy. We're keeping Chiesa. Next up, we have Artur, and for me, this one's pretty simple. I'm going to put him in the keep column. Now, I understand that his move from Barcelona was a highly anticipated play. We sent over Pjanic, who was the older of the two, and Artur was the younger, more elusive, kind of more offensive player. And he didn't really live up to those expectations this past season, but he is a skilled player, and he has a lot to offer, in my opinion. He can play really as a deep line playmaker, or even that classic regista. So for me, he is going to be injured for the first few months of the season, but when he comes back, he's a really good player, and I've always vouched for him, and I will continue to do so. So I think keep Artur. We're going to have him for the second half of the season, and we're going to see that midfield really improve when he gets back into the squad. Up next, one of my personal favorites on this squad is Weston McKennie, and for me, again, easy keep. He came in from Schalke on loan. We obviously bought him later, but he played a very crucial role in the midfield, and he proved at times that he was one of our best players in that midfield throughout the season. He scored a wonderful goal against Barcelona. When he was in, he played fairly well for the most part, and again, another really good depth player. He may not get the starting nod this year under Allegri, as Allegri seems to prefer Rabiot, and if Locatelli is coming, he obviously will get the starting position. But Weston McKennie is a really good role player. He's a really good sub to have on the bench, and if he continues to play well, he might crack the starting lineup. So I'm going to say yes, keep Weston McKennie. Alrighty, things are going to get harsh here because Aaron Ramsey is up next, and in my opinion, he needs to go. He needs to go right now. I don't care what we sell him for. I would honestly take a pack of gum in exchange for his his departure, because he makes way too much money and doesn't start any games, and when he does get in, he plays horribly. In his 2-year stint with Juventus, and this is going on the 3rd year, he's played one good game to my recollection, and that came against Sampdoria in the first game of the previous season. He makes a boatload of money, yet everybody finds a time to complain about Ronaldo's wages when this guy's just eating away at his salary, eating away at our wage bill, and doing absolutely nothing. Again, give me a pack of Dentine Ice and I'll send you Aaron Ramsey. Easy done. That trade is done. I'm taking it. Bye-bye, Aaron. Please leave, man. We need the money in our wage bill. Next up, we have Dejan Kulusevski, and for me, I'm going to keep him. He had a fairly good year with us last season. He scored a couple of nice goals, most notably coming against Atalanta with that beautiful left-footed curler. But in my opinion, he does have a chronic problem with not being able to pass the ball soon enough or at all. That being said, he is coming off of a fairly good campaign with Sweden at the Euros, and he has loads of potential because he's part of that new Swedish crop of superstars. It's him and Isak, and I'm sure they'll both be great someday. In terms of next season with Juve under Allegri, hopefully he can find a place in that 4-2-3-1 system, either as a starter, role player, backup, but I think he's going to be a really exciting player to come, so I'm going to say keep Kulusevski. Next up, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Lord Federico Bernardeschi, and for me, this one is fairly simple. He needs to go, he needs to be sold, get him out, get him off the books, let's just forget about him, all right? He has had literally one good game in the past 3 seasons, and it came against Atletico Madrid in the second leg of a round of 16 Champions League matchup. Ever since then, it's been nothing. Guys like Sarri and Pirlo just love to play him at different positions where he didn't belong, and of course, he didn't play well. So I think his stint at Juventus is over. I think it's time to move on, and for some reason, people still want him. There has been rumors that he wanted to go to Lazio. Of course, Sarri wants him back, and if they do want him, if they see something in him that no one else sees, then let him take him. We can get a solid 20 million euros for him. In this market, that's really good, and we could put that money towards one of the other players I mentioned before. So for me, gotta sell Bernardeschi. Next up, we have Rodrigo Bentancur, and for me, this is fairly easy. He's got to go. And I blame myself. I put so much belief into this guy. I had so much hope for him as a player, and all he's done was nothing and ruin and smash my dreams into pieces. The thing is he looks like he could be a fantastic midfielder. He's tall, he's athletic, he's got some skills, but every single season, he just disappoints. And it's the same kind of Bernardeschi thing. It's time to move on. Every coach, Allegri, Sarri, and Pirlo, have tried everything with this guy. They played him in the deep line playmaker. They played him as a regista. They played him in offensive position, and he's done nothing. And especially last season with the wayward passes, especially the one against Porto. It's time to move on. Teams still believe in this guy. They will spend the money. And in this market, you'll probably get 30 to 40 million euros for him. And again, get that money, put it in the bank, and if a big player emerges, then you can sign him, instead of having Bentancur on the bench or on the field doing absolutely nothing, doing worse than nothing, putting your team in harm. So for me, Bentancur's got to go. Next up, we have Adrien Rabiot, and for me, I'm going to say sell him. Another guy who is just eating at the wage bill, who nobody talks about. He's come in, this is a similar Bentancur thing. A lot of belief, a lot of hope, another tall guy, another athletic guy, another skilled guy who somehow starts for his national team, who won the World Cup, by the way, all the time. He's a frequent starter for the France national team. But for Juventus, he is incredibly inconsistent. Now, some games, I look at this guy and I say, the sky's the limit for Rabiot. He can do anything. He can score goals, make long runs, make really good tackles, be solid defensively. And then other games, he's almost invisible, or even doing negative things that will hurt our team, similar to Bentancur. So I think it's time to move on, and especially because of his massive wages. Yes, we signed him on a free transfer, but our wage bill is completely stacked right now. A lot of it's due to Ronaldo, but think about Ramsey and Rabiot, that's 14 million euros combined. It's time to go, Rabiot. I'm saying we gotta sell him. We are now on to our final 3 players in the Juventus squad, the forwards. And we're going to start off with Paulo Dybala. And for me, gonna have to keep him. Clear and present, so obvious. I understand the guy had a very, very, very poor season under Pirlo, but he was riddled with injuries the entire year, and he never really got the playing time when he was healthy. This past summer, he had a long off season. He was trained hard in Miami. He linked up with Paul Pogba, saw Ronaldinho, and I think he's poised to come back and have one of his best years yet. He had a really good season in 2017-18, scoring 22 goals. He had a really good season under Sarri where he was doing it all. Volleys, assists, curved shots, and free kicks and everything, the whole nine. And I just think that he is poised for a big season under Allegri, and he is the guy, the middleman who controls everything in that 4-2-3-1 system. We know he's a skilled player. He has had problems in the past with not living up to his potential, but I think that this upcoming season, he's going to really show his worth. And after all, he is our future captain. He's been with us since, it's been about 6 years now. So time to keep Dybala. It's time to unleash him as well. Definitely going to say you're here for the next season and hopefully the next couple of seasons. Next up, we have Alvaro Morata, and for me, this one's easy. Sell him, get rid of him by any means possible. This is difficult because he is on loan at Juventus, and we did sign him for another year, so he's not going to go anywhere. He's still going to play. Just my fear is that he's actually going to start in Allegri's 4-2-3-1. He's actually going to start games this season. And that's, again, it's a very big fear of mine because, number one, I don't like him at all. You can tell me, he's had a really good season last year with Juventus. Oh, he had a really good campaign with Spain. He's the most inconsistent player on this entire team. More inconsistent than Bernardeschi. More inconsistent than Ramsey, than Rabiot, than Bentancur. The guy misses sitters, then he scores goals, then he goes goalless for like 15 games, and then he finally reemerges. Let me tell you something for free here. There's an option to buy a Morata's loan deal with us in Atletico Madrid, and for me, if Juventus spend the 50 or 60 million euros on the guy, this will never happen again. Mark my words. He needs to go. Just stop loaning him. Just get him off the books. I don't want him there. We have way better options for a striker and Ronaldo, and even in a different formation, you can play a false nine. Just by any means possible, get Morata off the squad now. Last but not least, we have Cristiano Ronaldo. Do I really have to say it here? 35 goals, 5 assists, and 44 appearances with Juventus this season. The guy is eternal, the GOAT, best player on our team by a landslide. And without him, we aren't making that Champions League spot. We're not winning the Coppa Italia. We're not winning the Supercoppa. We need Ronaldo to win games. And I don't know where this notion comes from, these Juventus fans that say, sell Ronaldo, trade him with Jesus, Icardi, just save the money and make Dybala your front man. We'll pick these apart. Icardi doesn't even start at PSG. He was an Inter reject on a very bad Inter. Let's get that out of the way. Gabriel Jesus doesn't even start anymore for Man City. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I actually like him, and I want him to come to the club and see what he can do with us. But I'm not giving up Ronaldo. Where are you going to replace 35 goals? Seriously. And Dybala, after Ronaldo, is the best player on our team, but he's injured all the time. You can't trust him to be your main man. And I love Dybala. So for me, this is easy. I don't know where people get this thing from, where they want to sell him and he gets paid too much. If he keeps on scoring 30 plus goals a season, then he can earn 31 million per annum in my books. All right? So definitely keep Ronaldo if we want a shot at any trophies next year. Stop being deluded. That's it for the video today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and follow us on Instagram at JuveTalkTV. We'll be back next week with another video, and in the meantime, get excited because August 22nd, the Serie A season starts, and we're facing off against Udinese. I'm hoping for a big W. Once again, thank you for watching. Fino alla fine, and Forza Juve.